Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I'm glad to join you today in this fight to say we must maintain our focus on returning to the moon. It's good to see the witnesses here, Mr. Cutler, Mr. Gold, Mr. Bridenstine, and Lieutenant General Shaw, but also want to recognize Bill Nye, also a Northwest Planetary Society individual who is here today as well. I look forward to all your testimony. Today, we're here in a race with China to return to the moon and stay there. Beating China back to the moon isn't just about bragging rights, and it's certainly not just about grabbing headlines. But today, it's clear that President Xi, President Putin, and Prime Minister Modi are all in China having a big national security and strategic discussion that could easily include space and defense and security and defense implications. No surprise, actually, that Kim Jong-un is also there. Let's just take for a consideration that he would like to figure out how to improve his rocket technology with more accuracy, more distance, more tracking. I don't like the scenario. The strategic value of maintaining our position to live and work in space is critical. It's critical to our future economic and national security. Returning to the moon requires us to push the limits of technology to find the solutions that we can solve and maintain our national defense and innovation economy. All you have to do is look back to the 1960s and look at the development of technologies that created an ecosystem within the United States of America that led to discoveries and innovations that we're still now counting on today. So we must not waver in this important mission of technology and national security defense. I believe each of the witnesses will tell us something about this today and why the consequences of failing to achieve this goal will be monumental. We know we need to go back to the moon, and we know we need to do there before China establishes a permanent presence. I want to hear, importantly, about the expertise these individuals think that we must pull together so that we won't fall short of this goal. It's clear in some of your testimony, you're already articulating the strategic advantage China has of being so uniform on their government structure. We, on the other hand, are trying to work both within the government and within the commercial sector on a partnership that allows all of us to creatively work together and move forward. That is why, Lieutenant General Shaw, I found your statement in your testimony quite compelling. Quote, "I believe if we do not unify and synchronize our efforts, we will find ourselves, rather than the space leaders we are today, instead in a position of increasing disadvantage in space as we progress further into this century," end quote. I don't want to see that reality either. I want us to explore how to get the most out of NASA's commercial partnership and determine if sufficient redundancy in the provisions of commercial space are there to ensure that. The state of Washington plays a very proud role in the exploration of the space and space economy. About 77,000 people employed today just in the space economy, obviously more than 100,000 employed in aerospace in general. So these are important companies to us: Aerojet Rocketdyne, Boeing, Blue Origin, all working on rocket infrastructure, crew capsules, gateway lunar landing orbit stations, and human landers. All of these are so important. And also just a shout out to the returning Colonel Ann McLean from Spokane, who just returned from serving as the commander on the IS mission from March through August of this year. So yes, we have a lot of people thinking about space in the Northwest. So I am concerned about the current plan and what we are doing to make sure that we continue to push forward. I would love to see the continued focus on dual landers, given how important they are going to be for the future. It's not just one time, it's many times. This is an operation where we're going to continue to return and be an operational system. So I want to make sure that we have the best. I want to make sure that NASA has backup plans that takes advantage and ensures that the already delayed mission does not slip any further. I don't know that it takes a genius to figure out that while China may be projecting 2030 or some time period, there's nothing to say that they won't go sooner. There are people we talked to and trying to brief the press about this today who are betting that they are going to go sooner and that they are going to beat us. So we don't need another Sputnik moment. It's already happened. The only thing we have to do is make sure we in Congress get the budget right and support the Artemis mission. I appreciate everything the chair has done in putting money towards the Artemis mission, and I appreciate everything that we are doing collectively to assure that the administration spends it. But I also want to point out that, as Lieutenant General Shaw also says, this whole cislunar communication architecture, that is the space between the Earth and the Moon. That is what China would love to do. Go dominate the communication system between the space and the Moon. That's what they're already working on. We can't allow that to happen. We need to continue to move forward quickly, fastly with these investments because our national security and defense depends on it. I thank you, Mr. Chairman. I look forward to asking the witnesses more detailed questions about this, the President's budget, and why we need to make sure that we are funding this appropriate mission for the future, not just of our innovation, but also for our national security. Thank you.
During a Senate Commerce Committee hearing in early September, Senator Maria Cantwell, Democrat, Washington, spoke about the race between China and the United States to return to the moon. She stressed that this effort is not about bragging rights or headlines, but about safeguarding national security and economic strength. Cantwell noted that leaders like Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, and Narendra Modi had recently gathered in China, raising concerns about space, defense, and potential collaborations that could include North Korea and its ambitions to advance missile technology. She reminded the committee that space leadership has always been tied to technological innovation and economic growth, pointing back to the 1960s when space exploration led to breakthroughs that still benefit the U.S. today. For that reason, she urged that the U.S. remain committed to Artemis and not fall behind in developing the infrastructure necessary to live and work on the moon. Cantwell acknowledged that China's centralized government gives it an advantage in moving swiftly, while the U.S. must balance government programs with commercial partnerships. She highlighted testimony from Lieutenant General Shaw, who warned that without unified and synchronized efforts, the U.S. could lose its leading position in space. She also praised the space industry in Washington state, where over 77,000 people are employed, and companies like Boeing, Blue Origin, and Aerojet Rocketdyne are working on rockets, crew capsules, and lunar systems. She called for NASA to have backup plans and redundancy in commercial partnerships to avoid further delays in Artemis. Cantwell pushed for dual landers to ensure the U.S. can repeatedly conduct lunar missions, describing this as the beginning of an operational system, not a one-time project. Her warning was clear. While China may publicly aim for 2030, many believe it could attempt a lunar landing much sooner, and the U.S. must act quickly to prevent being overtaken. She compared the situation to avoiding another Sputnik moment and pressed for Congress to fully fund Artemis. She also drew attention to China's push to dominate cislunar communications, the crucial link between Earth and the Moon, and cautioned that the U.S. cannot allow that space to be controlled by rivals. Cantwell closed by thanking the chairman for supporting Artemis funding and urged the administration to make sure those resources are used effectively. She reinforced that investing in lunar exploration is not only about scientific advancement, but also about securing the nation's future in defense, technology, and the economy.